This is a Frank podcast.
The difference is a few simple things that I can teach you in a matter of days that will instantly level up your.
We're away, Wes.
Sweet.
I fucked up the intro thing, so we're rolling and live.
Good start.
Welcome,
Good
everyone.
start.
Yeah, flying start. This Warriors Live Podcast 2025, episode 11, live. That's my team episode, the second of the season. No Brad this week, but I've got Weez here, third appearance, I think, on the podcast. He's not quite as zany as Brad, but he knows the difference between Buzz Rothwell and Buzz Rothfield. So you're probably going to get a wee bit more insightful NRL knowledge from the big fella here. But yeah, good to see you again, Weez.
Yeah, don't know about that, man. But we'll see how we go. Mumble my way through it.
No, you'll be right, mate. Welcome if you're joining us live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Join in the chat, and don't forget to like and subscribe to This Warriors Life on all those platforms. Brought to you, of course, by King's Container Crew for your container packing and unpacking solutions throughout Australia and New Zealand. Head to kingskontainercrew.com at the Work With Us tab if you're looking for a job with those fellas. Love the Kings boys, and I'm sure they'll be tuning in today. Also, New Zealand TAB supporting TWL in 2025, and of course, Frank Podcasts, Mike Minogue and his cronies. So, here we go. Brad isn't with us, and for very good reason, though. Poor wee Ted come off his motorbike on Sunday, broke his leg, and so it's been dramatic couple of days in the Larking household, and talked to Brad today. Ted's had his surgery and he's going okay, but geez, bit of a long recovery ahead and still in hospital. So get well, Ted. And he's actually sent me a picture of the X-ray. Just going to see if I can bring it up here. Yeah, here we go. Oh, look at that. That is definitely broken. If you're watching live here, look at the state of that.
Ouch.
What do you reckon, Wes?
Well,
You've broken a few bones in your time. How does that?
Yeah,
how
man,
was that one rate?
Never leg, and that what you're saying, tib and fib. So that's supposed to be pretty brutal, isn't it?
Yeah. It was a bit of sideways bone and all that sort of carry on. So poor old Ted and Brad and Tracy and the whole family, but I'm sure they'll bounce back, and Brad will tell us the full story, no doubt, when he's back on deck. But
It would have been cool, calm and collected.
Yeah, I think Tracy was probably took over the leadership role in that crisis. Pretty standard,
Brad
but tough one for Brad. But we'll be missing Brad. I think this might be the first live teamless Tuesdays missed. But now just reading through a few comments. Good to see you, Michael Nash. He's gutted. No, first time watching on YouTube. No Brad. Jimmy Wilson
Sorry,
down in Roxburgh, listening to the internet down in Roxburgh. It's nice of them to. It's probably on dial-up, so it might be a bit of lagging there. Timmy Gore now. Yeah, Timmy Gore. He's always here in the live chat. Might mention it now. The Brisbane and northern New South Wales flooding. Thoughts to all our listeners that are based around there. We've got quite a few, and particularly in Brisbane. And Timmy Gore up in Tingalpa, he's only just got back from the States today after his Las Vegas adventure. He was our TWL's man on the ground there. And watching from afar as Southeast Queensland got absolutely pounded by rain and wind. Fair bit of water at Timmy's house, I think. He said Cyclone Alfred took his pride, his soul, and unfortunately, is this Warriors Life tea. So it's probably floating around North Lake somewhere by now. Hopefully someone can make use of it. I'll get you another one, Tim. Don't worry about that, mate. Who else have we got here? Sammy Phillips, and geez, we have got our hands full with Manly this weekend. Boys need to step up from round one. Hopefully, signing off. Tohu gets the lads hissing at home. Yep, Tohu will get the farewell that he didn't get, I guess, by retiring over the off season. Brian from Mixon Picks in on the chat. Good to see DDD Danzo, one of the old school TWL fans. Good to see you here. Interwebby and Riz. Sammy Phillips and Ted on the green whistle like his old boy on the vape. That's a good call. Yeah, sucking him down, I'm sure. But yeah, just on that Brisbane flooding. I lived in Brisbane for 6 years, including having to leave our apartment for a week in the 2011 floods. Brisbane can definitely find a flood. Rob Anderson of Ruin Hammer fame spent his birthday on Sunday, I think it was, bucketing out water, trying to keep it out of his garage. So, Rob, hopefully you've got out the other side of that okay, mate. And Shannon as well, occasional guest on this podcast, has come out okay as well, which is good to hear. But everyone else, hopefully, nice and dry, and putting it all behind you. We's still recovering from round one. We were all pretty bitter in our group chat, and it's taken a wee while to get over. Now we're heading for round two, only 3 days away. Very tough game against Manly, and I think Webby's probably $1.20 to keep the same 17, despite most of the same sort of change. I'm guessing you're in the same boat. You're expecting to see this very similar team trotted out, but I thought I'd ask you because everyone's got their opinions. Once we're sort of rolling into the season, is there any sort of changes you'd like to see in preferred lineup?
I think when you guys, Brad and Fons, put your preferred lineups up, I think I was pretty similar to Brad. It was like, maybe have Boyd and Metcalf in the halves. This was before I even thought that Metcalf was a chance of actually being a 7. I was like, because we need someone that can actually kick, has a good long kicking game, because that was horrendous, some of those games last year with CHT and TM a lot of the time. So, and then I was like, well, if we're going to have that, we need a bit more, we more ball playing, maybe have Tuapiki at the back with chance the centres. That was the way I was heading, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, those halves and Chance are will be under a fair bit of pressure after that first game, I guess. I'm sure they'll get a few games, but if we're 4-0, 0-4 before a bye or whatever, the drums will be beating, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy start. I think we've got Manly, the Roosters coming up next week. I think the Tigers are in there somewhere. Then, Storm and Broncos are sort of in those sort of first 6 weeks of the season. No real easy games. And then, obviously a lot of pressure on, having to pick up wins against the Tigers in Sydney. The Roosters are already under the pump here. It's all of a sudden one game in and it is looking quite dicey, I think. Just obviously that forward rotation came under a lot of scrutiny, and everyone will have eagle eyes on that this week. I mean, Jackson Ford probably gets another crack. You'd be expecting to see him used slightly differently, minutes and rotation wise this weekend.
Yeah, well, you can understand, things don't go to plan during the game, but that seemed like it was planned. Like there wasn't, that the fans know there wasn't any injuries or anything out of the ordinary that was going on that would, it seemed like that was the rotation that Webby wanted, and to have Ford, Walker and Clark as your middle three for a large portion of the middle of the game.
25 minutes, I think, about 25. So
I don't know. That's pretty horrendous. And we got blown off the park in that part of it as well. And, we're not, even no matter what the Aussie commentators say, I think most Warriors fans know that especially after AFV leaving, we're not the biggest forward pack, so we haven't really
Yeah.
had a lot of big boppers the last few years, apart from
Yeah,
AFV.
yep.
So,
That myth about the Warriors being, traditional big forward packs hasn't been true for probably 15, 20 years.
it's infuriating to listen to all the time. It's like,
they
just
can't. It's
stop
almost like a reflex, those big Warriors packs. But
Yeah.
also our traditional razzle dazzle has certainly gone out of our game. It's it's slightly concerning to see how plain we are in attack. We've sort of seen the impressions of round one, and it is only one game, but slow, small, and boring. Watching that game on Thursday night in particular, it was just full of jealousy for what other teams bring to the table, and we saw a bit from Canberra, scored a couple of long range tries, 5 tries from beyond halfway in the Roosters Broncos game. Both teams managed some. I think we probably would have to rank somewhere near the bottom of the NRL for the last few seasons of long range tries. It's just not something that seems to be in our arsenal. We're not the speediest team. There's not too many guys that sort of make a break out of nothing really.
And you have to be perfect, don't you? Like, I suppose that we had obviously had a similar game plan in 23, and it worked because we were perfect and we defended awesome. But if you haven't got much else going and there's not too much of a plan B, sometimes it's it can be tough. It can be tough to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was nice to get more or less full round of footy, and not have to go through the stress of watching the Warriors play last weekend. But any sort of major takeaways from round one? I know you watch most games, Wes.
Yeah, watched a fair few of them. It was crazy, wasn't it? Like, you usually think round one can be a bit dour. Teams are still working combinations, etc. And you're usually close. A lot of teams are relatively fully fit. That obviously wasn't the case. Like, Roosters are destroyed by injuries, but sometimes you can see some pretty shitty games. But man, there was some pretty amazing. Like, Manly and Broncos, and who was the other one that actually touched someone up?
Melbourne on Sunday.
Melbourne.
The Eels,
the Eels, man. Because I put it in a group chat. I was like, makes me feel slightly better about how the Warriors went. That everyone else is getting a touch up, but you're like, no, we still reckon we went the shittest out of most of them. The Eels' defense was pretty diabolical, though. Like,
they're just pouring through the May.
Tuolangi looked like he got pulled like 12-minute thing or something like that. It's pretty bad.
It's pretty
the season.
Pretty devastating. Of course, tough start for Jason Riles in that new era at Parramatta. I did think that we were still the worst team in round one, probably based on the opposition. Canberra were good, but I thought they were pretty patchy as well. Whereas, Brisbane, Manly, and Melbourne were just about near perfect for at least an hour of those games. Just insane and terrifying that they could be that good straight off the bat. So, another thing that you go, bro.
I was just going to say, we didn't have the excuse of Roosters, especially. We were more or less fully fit, weren't we? Well, there was our first choice team, apart from maybe Rocco, but that's neither here nor there, really.
Pretty negligible, One takeaway, speaking of centres, from that Roosters Broncos game was just maybe think about the low bar we expect from our centres. We're sort of bigging up Adam Pompey for, being reasonably consistent or not producing, the terrible games that we would see from reasonably regularly. I'm the guilty one here, but talking about Ali Leotara as our best centre since potentially Clinton Torpey. Then you get the Roosters and Broncos head out there. Robert Toya on debut, sensational. The ex-Wallaby fella. He only played half a dozen games of rugby league in his life, and he looked very much at home in a badly beaten team. And Shibasaki, who's only played a handful of games in the NRL over the past 5 years, slotted in brilliantly. So yeah, this sort of notion that we've got to be patient and wait 7 years for our centres to be competent. It's I spent a lot of the weekend jealous. Certainly, second rowers as well was a big one. Obviously, after Nikore and Capewell went pretty poorly in Vegas. It's just dynamic back rowers all over the competition. Manly, there's some tough matchups this weekend with Trebojevic and Olakau'atu, who both scored early tries against the Cowboys, up against our two plotters, our big money plotters.
It's tough. You've talked about it, with the contract these guys are on, like Nikore. He's not a high work rate second rower like Leo Mata or Hudson Young or a few of those guys, and he's not. I suppose we brought him to maybe be the explosive Olakau'atu or Katoa or even Kikau, dudes like that. But he hasn't been either of those, unfortunately. He's had his injuries and stuff, hasn't he, the last little while? But we definitely need a lot more from him. And Capewell, just the missed tackles was tough. It was tough to watch.
Only 4 runs as well. Like Brendan Nicore's on a reported $850 a year. Capewell's probably here on 500,000 to 600,000. Both contracted to the end of next season. They're looking like pretty tough contracts for the Warriors to carry, and it'll be it gets remain to be seen if they keep performing like that, whether Andrew Webster has the bottle to promote someone else who's going to do a better job. But
surely give one of these young fellas a crack at some stage. It just depends, doesn't it? It's tough. I know. I feel like the last few seasons that probably hasn't put enough faith in our younger guys. Like AFB always played big minutes, and he won't. I don't think he'll play as many minutes at the Sharks. And every team has that drop off when when their starters come off, but ours seemed for a couple of years to be a lot more noticeable, that huge drop off when our starters come off.
But in saying that, huge opportunity for them to get back on track this weekend. I mean, went over upset against Manly, just flips the season on its head immediately. So Warriors have traditionally been good at bouncing back from I guess catastrophic losses. I don't know if you put the loss in Vegas in the catastrophic category, but it sort of felt that way just because of the build up and the hype around Vegas and everything, and the fact that it was round one. Looking further afield around the NRL, a few of the Warriors old boys doing pretty good. Obviously, interesting to see the ones that have just left sort of do their thing in a new jersey. So talked about AFB, great try against Penrith in 190 metres over in Vegas. Jazz was the big one, obviously pulled at the heartstrings, seeing him in a Manly jersey back at hooker for the first time in a few years, and he went well, in a team running downhill in that first half, and came back on for a stint as a middle forward. The part of his game that I really enjoyed was when the Cowboys scored that long-range try towards the end, and Jazz
right there,
60 metres back from, no chance of stopping it, but he was there to sort of make the tackle as, was it Burns scored the try. Just all heart, great to see from Jazz. He'll be back at Mount Smart, very early homecoming for him. So, it's a big storyline this weekend. The Warriors one game. Taukei'aho.
I hope Jazz goes awesome. He's one of my favourite Warriors the last few years, even though he's had, be a wee bit of a frustrating watch. But it seems like you've invented a few times. Hard case dude, good dude. And, hope he goes well.
Yes, certainly the kind of guy that will sort of rise to this sort of occasion. He'll be relishing chance to get a crack at his old mates. And we wanted to shout out Viliami Vailea, sort of a bit of a Warriors cast off.
Doing good.
didn't quite sort of live up to his potential. And he wasn't a first choice, the Cowboys, when he first got there. Now he's played 19 straight games, over 200 meters on the weekend, and a big 6 tackle breaks, big line break, set up a try, which is, he's sort of coming along, hitting his straps of Viliami, which is good to see. Marcelo Montoya at the Bulldogs, or back at the Bulldogs. I think we got sort of the full gamut of Marcelo powered over for a blockbusting early try. He was up and about, all fired up, which was cool to see, and then made an error. The third 3 tackles later.
With Marcelo, because I always thought we sort of let him go, but they were saying in the commentary that he went to the Warriors and wanted to get out of his contract a year earlier. Like, what?
Yeah, I think he's having definitely at least one kid. I think it might be twins. So I think him and his wife might have been quite keen to come home. I think we seem to be fairly happy to let him go. Although, with our sort of dearth of wingers, doesn't come across as the greatest call, I guess. But I mean, it was probably more
Harper and Kossi played in the New South Wales Cup wingers, didn't they, last weekend? So the next cab off the rank, it's a wee bit worrying.
Yeah, a little bit of the interweb. He's having a jab at you. He's nice of Aaron Woods to join the panel.
We should have a trip to Vegas paid for by the NRL. That'd be all right.
And another one, Ronnie Volkman, playing in the NRL for the first time since leaving the Warriors. A bit of a torturous couple of years for Ronnie V. And I guess a train and trial deal at Parramatta, and ends up playing round 1 with Mitch Moses out. Not the easiest game to come in and play halfback when your team's getting absolutely lapped, but had a minor hand in 2 late tries and couldn't have really done a hell of a lot more. Might get a few other opportunities this year. Our supporters, TAB, have kept framing up the markets, and it's not looking so good for the Warriors anymore. They've dropped to the last line of betting at $51. We're alongside the Dragons, the Eels, and the Titans, who I think are a little bit underrated there. At the other end of the scale, it's still the Storm at $3.50, Panthers $4.75, Broncos into $5, and Manly at $11. It's probably a fairly accurate description. I wouldn't think we're winning too many comps this year, Wes. Quick plug for Mix and Pick. Nick Phillips, friend of the show, won the merch, which you can purchase for yourself if you don't think you're any chance of winning a Mix and Pick prize. thiswarriorslife.digitees.co.nz. Links will be in the show notes. I think this year Brian for Mix and Pick is doing more of a draw. So if you get 5 or more points, he'll draw a number out, so you don't have to finish outright top anymore, which gives a few of you a bit more of an opportunity. And speaking of TWL related competitions, Wes, Supercoach, you dragged me into it, kicking and screaming. Set up a This Warriors Life League. 71 people joined, which is awesome to see. Not a great start for me though, man. 1,082 points. I'm coming 60th out of 71, and fallen into the trap of so many Supercoach rookies of picking way too many of your favourite teams' shithouse players.
When I think when I first talked to you about it, you had maybe 3 or 4. That's probably the limit of how many you should have. And now you've got the whole squad.
Yeah, just about.
Kalani going in there. You've got God knows who else in there. You've got 4 of the back rows, don't you?
Yeah, stacked with back rows, and when you were blowing up about this as well, Dimitri Vaimonga only getting a handful of minutes. Really proved to be a bit of a handbrake as one of my interchanges. So I've got some changes to make this week.
That's sweet, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look forward to
any other major you're a bit of a super coach fan. Any major takeaways
Yeah.
from round one generally?
No, I only really started playing it hard out last year. Just got hooked. I think casually before that, but yeah, really started getting into it last year. It's you can be quite, you don't want to view the games from a Supercoach lens all the time. That's for sure, because it's completely different Supercoach and NRL in a lot of respects. But no, you probably need to get another gun fullback in there, man. Get Turbo in there, and then if he carves us up, then you sort of got there's a bit of a. It's like putting him for a
bit of like a
anytime try scorer. Yeah, bit of a silver
like a
lining
win-win type thing.
Yeah.
Willie Nathan joining us as well from the Gold Coast. Hopefully you've been all right down there on the coast, mate. Pretty wet, I imagine. Looking at the TWL leaderboard and Supercoach, Bevo's Brawlers top in the table with 1,357 points, just a few ahead of Big Whanua's 1,353 and Strikers on 1,349. Tally, he's got the edge on you, Wes, 1,289 points. He's in 13th place. You're down in.
So we're not good.
Is that you? The Humble Cabbages on 1262. Is that you?
Yeah, man.
You're in 19th spot. A few other notables. Anton Pozo's almost like a Supercoach celebrity in the on the scene there. He's
I always hear his name pop up on the Supercoach, quite a few Supercoach podcasts. He's like constantly sending in questions. Loves it.
Yeah, good friend of the show as well. Anton, just 1190, so isn't down 42nd place. Just edging me out is also Carlos from King's Container Crew, 1135. But yeah, I've got a fair bit of work to do. There's Garrick McDonald, Runanga Seagulls. He's below me, 1,020 points. But yeah, it's a long season. It's only round one, so
yeah, man. Yeah.
See if I can bounce back. Hopefully in Warriors-like fashion. Just quickly before we go into team list Tuesday, New South Wales Cup 18-16 over Canberra. Probably one of the more, I guess, of interest games to Warriors fans in New South Wales Cup history, just because there's so many fringe first grade contenders in there. Came away with a late win, trailed 10-0 at halftime, and I think trailed by a try late. Moala Graham Taufor with the second half double to get us home. Tanner Boyd, 3 goals from 3 attempts. He had the first try assist with a kick. Tamati Martin also a try assist. Apparently those two went okay, but nothing totally out of the box. Morgan Harper, club debut on the wing, 158 metres, few tackle breaks, a couple of errors. Sort of make one poor defensive read that in the lead up to a Canberra try. Sounds like Tom Ale was one of the standouts, and he's surely going to be pushing for a spot back in the first grade team. 166 metres from 19 runs. Sam Healy, probably maybe a surprise to some that he was left out of the 17 for round one. 57 metres, 28 tackles, line break, 4 tackle breaks. So sort of showing what he can bring off the bench if he was to get that call up. Jacob Laban, big performance, 80 minutes, 115 metres, 9 tackle breaks, and led the way defensively with 30 tackles. And Tanner Smith, 123 metres, 22 tackles off the bench. Toby Crosby, an old St. Pat Silverstream rugby union teammate of Rocco Berry's, 21 minutes, and he worked for 63 metres and 15 tackles without a miss during that time. Real hard running prospect. So a few pretty excited about his potential. Bunty didn't really press his claims. 44 minutes, just 7 runs and 15 tackles. And Rocco Berry in his return from injury, 41 minutes and just 6 runs, 6 tackles. So not too much to speak about there. I didn't see the full game, but certainly nothing there that's maybe going to force old Webby's hand anytime soon. But
everyone was saying Bunty. I don't watch the trials. Well, but you were saying Bunty went pretty awesome. So we're a bit surprised.
Yeah, he tried well.
Yeah.
Well, him and Tom Ale a lot bigger than the middles that we've got in the the top grade team currently. But yeah, I'm always been a big fan of Tom Ale's footwork at the line. Does have good work rate, and I wouldn't mind seeing him back in that top side. But yeah, the interesting one for me is Morgan Harper on the wing. He's probably more better known as a centre. I'd love to know what the pecking order is there. So obviously Rocco is to come back, or pushing for a return at least to the top grade side. If we need another centre, who is the next cab off the rank? Is it Moala, Graham Telfer, or is it Harper? And if it's Harper, why are you playing him out on the wing when obviously Graham Telfer could be on the wing? It wouldn't really make sense to bring Harper up if he hasn't been playing at centre even in Cup. So interesting to see what will happen when injuries do strike and these guys get a opportunity. But got any preferences there? Any thoughts on Harper and Graham Telfer in general?
It's tough, isn't it? There just seems to be a lot of middling options, which is, I guess, what we've been used to the last little while. Probably with Tuel Piki playing wing as well. Like, I know, man, he competes, he tries hard, but to be that small in a playing in the NRL as a winger, it's going to be pretty tough. He's just not going to have the space that he could have at fullback. So I was almost want to chuck someone a bit with a bigger body, a bit harder running in there. But but I'd like to have him on the team, but it's also it's tough.
Yeah, sort of didn't really get an opportunity to work his way into the game in Vegas, but pretty tough assignment this weekend up against a hot Manly side. I think Lehigh Hopewadi will be his opposite this weekend, so it's a very tough matchup. Team list of dropways, so we'll get into that. Just give me 1 second and we'll hang on. Tough match on Friday against the Manly team that won 42-12 against the Cowboys in round 1 at Brookvale. Coming back to Mount Smart, although our form wasn't exactly that fantastic at Mount Smart last season, so hopefully I can turn that around. And here we go. I'll just read it 1-17, not anticipating any changes, but we've got Chance Nickel-Klogstad at fullback, looking to bounce back from a tough Vegas outing on the wings. As we spoke about, Taine Tuapiki and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, probably our best against Canberra. Ali Leatawa, another one looking to bounce back from a disappointing effort against the Raiders, alongside Adam Pompey in the centres, who went reasonably well, try-assist against Canberra. The halves remain Chanel Harris-Tavita and Luke Metcalf, despite a fair bit of criticism, which was maybe a little bit tough on them. The forward pack will line up as co-captains James Fisher-Harris and Mitch Barnett in the front row, Wade Egan at hooker. That obviously was changed up before kickoff last time. Kurt Capewell and Marata Nukore, the under pressure second rowers, keep their starting spots. Aaron Clark named at lock. He dropped to the bench. For round 1, in a late change with Jackson Ford, who is on the interchange bench again with Dylan Walker, Dimitri Vaimaunga and Leka Halasima. So they are 1-17 as they lined up in round 1. That's the team that will take on Manly unless there's a late change. Sam Healy, Tamari Martin, 18th man from round 1, Eddie Idamir Toava, Bunty Afoa and Ed Cossey, the reserves. So no changes at all. Thoughts, Wes? I guess you're not too surprised by the team would name there, but I think the reactionary fans. The reactionary sort of fans among us will be, I guess, blown up. There's no changes. I really, don't think that anyone necessarily deserved to come up or drop out. So, on the basis of one game. So, I mean, might have to reassess if they get an absolute ass kicking this weekend. But the Vegas team will get another crack at it. And I've got I haven't seen this live caller before, but Brad Larking is messaging in. Hey boys, long time listener, first time caller, tuned in live from Dunedin Hospital vaping area. So good to see you here, Brad. Hopefully things are going okay down at Dunedin Hospital. There he's
man.
probably
Hope the
spent
little
four
fellas are right.
lifetimes worth. Not much to cover off about this team that we haven't already. Guess we'll rip through Manly's lineup, which I'm guessing won't have too many changes. But it is a terrifying lineup. Tom Trbojevic at fullback, who was outstanding against the Cowboys. Jason Saab and Lehigh Hapuati, who had a field day against the Cowboys as well. Tola Talcola and Ruben Garrick in the centres. Luke Brooks and Daly Cherry Evans with 550 odd NRL games in the halves between them, up against our fledgling combination. In the forwards, Taniela Paseka and Josh Lia, who I think didn't play in round one. He'll be looking to atone after his last game at Mount Smart, where he gave away that penalty on full time to send it into Golden Point. Ended in a draw. Jazz Tavanga, as we spoke about, at hooker again with Lachlan Croker still out. Hamali Alakuatu, Ben Trbojevic and Jake Trbojevic in the back row. The benches, Jake Simpkin, Corey Waddell, Ethan Bullymore, and Toff Sifley. So it is Siwa Taukeaho, the player to drop out, and the only change for Manly. I wouldn't think there'd be too many other changes ahead of game day. Interesting name on the bench. Geez, that's some backline depth. Tommy Talau in the reserves scored 18 tries last year. And yeah, that's probably I know that we've got to, muscle up in the middle and sort of at least get an even share of that battle. But geez, we're looking a little outmatched on the edges from what the Manly served up against the Cowboys. That right edge with Cherry Evans, was it Olakawatu, Garrick, and Jason Saab. Big job.
It's one of the most lethal edges on the comp, isn't it? You'd think.
Yeah.
A few points.
Especially with the way Kurt Capewell dropped off a few tackles in Vegas. He'll be charged with trying to handle Olakawatu, who, becoming one of my most admired players in the game. He's a weapon.
Yeah, and I think CHT won it as well. They just lined up Dearden's an awesome defender, and they just lined him up constantly. And he got bugged off a few times, but he's arguably one of the better defensive halves in the comp, and CHT doesn't go too bad either. So he'll be thinking about that all week, no doubt.
Worked over for sure. And then you look out the other side, and it's not a hell of a lot better. You got Brooks with Ben Trbojevic and Kola and Hopewadi. So shitload of pace out there, especially out wide. That Leotawa Tuapiki combination on the edge there with Metcalf as well, and Nukore, who was, should we say, a little bit cumbersome a couple of times in Vegas. So plenty of areas to target and plenty of danger men to stop for the Warriors. But I think surely Barnett and Fisher Harris start in the front row with Clark at 13 this week, and can get get an even share of possession territory and all that. Paseka, Aloi, Jake Trbojevic is not exactly the most threatening sort of middle forward rotation to start with for Manly, but they certainly got the job done against the Cowboys.
Waddell, he's a big boy too.
Yeah. Actually, Waddell didn't play in round one, did he? So, or did he? He must have. Yeah.
He's
didn't really notice Corey Waddell last week, but tough assignment. Thoughts and feelings. Was it just damage control and hoping to see an improved effort, or we're going all out? Hopefully throwing a bit more at Manly than we did against Canberra, and maybe coming up with the win.
Yeah, I don't know if we got. Well, we've got a wee bit more to throw at them, haven't we? You'd hope if we can at least get parity in the middle. Well, we just got blown away through the middle, didn't we, by Canberra, and then just falling off tackles and etc. And yeah, you're right. Like, surely we start with Clark at 13. Walker comes on for 55, 60. Aaron Clark can come on the back end at prop, perhaps, if we need to. Like, I mean, Fisher Harris is the only sort of actual prop in our team, I suppose. Like, Barnett's.
Yeah. He's sort of a converted
second rower.
prop.
Vaimonga he started as a second rower a wee bit, didn't he? And they seem to be maybe trying to put him in the middle there. So,
and Ford, many would say, is an out and out second rower. So, hopefully you see more minutes for Vaimonga and Halasima as well. I mean, Nukore is certainly not an 80-minute second rower, particularly at the moment. And the Halasima is just so dynamic. He's Olakawatu-esque, really. Some of the things that he can do, and just something to sort of shake things up a little bit when we've got the ball. But to be honest, Weez, I don't hold out too much hope of us getting the W on Friday.
No, look, the way Manly played, when they're on, I guess they seem to play a lot better at Brookie, don't they? When they're on, they can be pretty amazing. Turbo and DCE, and they can pick you apart. That's for sure. I'm sure they'll probably do that to us, but we always seem to just come up short against them, don't they? DCE always fucking finds a way. Shove a dagger through our hearts.
Caused you a fair bit of pain over the years, Wes. You were there in Perth when they came from 18-0 down, and Cherry Evans led them to the win.
That was I'm pretty sure that was my first Warriors game. So it took a while to get along to one. But I was pretty much sobbing in Subiaco there. It was it was so horrific. It was so bad. Yeah, not much fun at all.
I think I was at your place for the 13-12 loss at Brookvale in 2021. Cherry Evans again, a field goal. He loves sticking the dagger into us. They haven't won at Mount Smart since 2017. That was the day Manly won in Golden Point late in the season. I think Cherry Evans kicked one, descended into Golden Point, then, to be a real smart ass, kicked a left-footed one in Golden Point to win it. So, painful. We've only won one of our last 6 against Manly, but it was a 22-all draw at Mount Smart last year. I'm looking forward to, and no word of it being a sellout, so it sounds like that streak may be broken unless there's sort of a late grab for tickets. But maybe the party's over at Mount Smart a little bit, particularly after the way Vegas went. But just running through last year's results at Mount Smart, I think we had 4 wins, a draw, and 5 losses at Mount Smart. The wins weren't overly impressive. There's a 2012 win over Newcastle in round 4. The win over the Dolphins was a famous win on the back of that Magic Round 1. And then, wins over very depleted Brisbane and West Tigers teams. And a lot of other times it felt like we couldn't rise to the occasion. Just absolutely tanked against Parramatta when our season was on the line. SJ's last game, pumped by the Bulldogs. Again, giving away double-digit leads against Cronulla, Gold Coast, and I believe Melbourne. You were there for that one on King's Container Cruise dime with Brad, but I think we had a decent lead in that game too.
Yeah, we jumped out pretty quick, didn't we, from memory? Yeah, it was tough watch. I don't know what it is about Mount Smart. Like, God, it seems like we're always checking the weather forecast a few days out from the game, the last couple of years. And for a team, as you're saying, that we sort of play, a relatively sort of dour game plan compared to a lot of teams. It's like, well, fuck, why can't we actually go all right in the wet weather? Like that.
When we're at home, especially.
Should be able to sort of piece together a few more wins in the wet and that. But
it's looking like a nice long tail for summer in Auckland. 23 degrees on Friday, sunny all day. So should be ideal conditions. Really, still about 20 degrees by the time kickoff rolls around. So yeah, no excuses from that respect. But yeah, you got to start using your home ground, especially you see what Manly can do now at Brookie. The Warriors have got to start, at least winning sort of 2/3 of their games again at Mount Smart. It seems a long time ago, Wes, that you and I were at that semi-final against Newcastle, which is just a continuation of that year-long party at Mount Smart. Everyone certainly turned up last year, but just didn't really see like anything close to a complete performance at Mount Smart.
No, and you guys sort of talked about it, didn't you? That maybe the goodwill, a wee bit of that shine if they keep going like they did last season and in the first round against Canberra, then that'll sort of start waning, which would be pretty disappointing after they've done such a good job of building that back up again after COVID and that. But they don't sell out this one, then they don't play that well this weekend. Next week, trying to get their fans to turn up for a game against the Roosters on another Friday night. All of a sudden, you're getting 15,000 to the game, and feels like we're sort of back in a bit of a trough again. So yeah, huge game this weekend, really, on a number of fronts, and I'm sure the boys will be fired up for it. But whether they've got the cattle to do it anymore remains to be seen. Now, this has come across as probably a pretty negative episode, but it's kind of the reality of where they are at the moment. I think a lot of fans are sort of feeling a wee bit the same. I would say. I think we're not flying off the handle like a lot of people do on social media. I don't think, but we'll see. Hopefully, they'll come out and put an awesome performance. And didn't we used to have a lot of more Sunday afternoon games? Is that just completely gone out the window the last few years? Or?
It seems like we've had a lot of night games at Mount Smart. Lately, had a couple of early season ones in early last season. This year we've got Roosters is on a Friday night. Then the next home game isn't until 19th of April. That's Easter weekend. That's a Saturday night. Anzac Day is down here in Canterbury, and Saturday again. Well, that's Magic Round. We'll be there. Wes, the full TWR crew and a few other hangers on. So looking forward to that. Hopefully, it's we're not just heading over for a bit of a dead rubber already by that stage of the season. Hopefully, we've got a bit of momentum heading into that one.
We could pull one out of if we are pull one out of the bag like they did last year, which would be amazing.
Well, exactly. Although Cowboys could be in the same boat as us by that point of the season, the way they played in round one.
Spoon Bowl. We nearly look at Spoon Bowl.
And we have to wait till round 12 to get a Sunday game at home. That's against Tally's Raiders, but that's a 6 o'clock kickoff, so it'll be dark by then, middle of winter. So you're right. We don't sort of have too many sunny Sunday afternoon games. It's round 19 against the Tigers before we get a Sunday game with a 4 o'clock kickoff. Hopefully the boys get used to playing at night. I think that'll just about do us, Wes, before we bring everyone down too much more. But yeah, I'm sure we'll good luck with your Supercoach team this week, by the way. I'll be asking you for a few tips during the week.
Just about you too. Maybe don't have four TRS from the Wards. That's too many.
I am battling big time. Thanks for everyone that's tuned in, especially the people who have jumped on the chat. Peter Butcher, long-time listener, first-time texter, 3 pints deep at the Monteith Brewery up the Hazies. Good on you, Pete. And Ryan, he's a long-time TWL fan as well. Good to see him there. Thanks to King's Container Crew, of course, TAB, Frank Podcasts, Patreon supporters, everyone else. enjoy the game on Friday. Be Kings Container Crew player ratings to come out bit later on Friday night, I imagine. And Wes, thanks for super subbing in for this one as well, man. It's good to have you here. Sure, we'll be a regular on the live pop.
Yeah, sweet, bro. No, thanks for having me. Feel good to fill in for Brad for the week since he's going through it with the young fella.
Yeah, surely Brad will be back next week, as will we. And yeah, until then, take care of yourselves and each other.
This is a Frank podcast.